want to talk about how Black people will say that they love being Black and they will embrace their Black culture publicly. They will say things like they're Black and they're proud, or Black is beautiful. They will hold up the fist in symbolism and say Black power. And they would always portray themselves as embracing the Black culture, their Black culture publicly, and having love for being Black and everything that is Black. However, a lot of Black people secretly hate their Black features. They're ashamed of them. And so I want to talk about that today because, see, my heritage, my background is I have a lot of Native American blood. And this is not anything to boast or anything. I'm just giving you a history because when I was younger, I always had this prominent bone structure. I had this jawline. It was very prominent and angular. I had a nice prominent jawline, nice high cheekbones, a nice sharp bridge nose. It wasn't wide. And I had these slanted eyes that looked like, they were almond shaped. They almost looked like Asian eyes. On top of that, I had a very nice colored skin. My skin was like a golden caramel color, like a golden color. And when it becomes summer, like when the season would change, it can go to like almost like a reddish brown, almost a bronze color, looking like a brand new copper penny. And I would always get compliments on my skin, on my bone structure, on my eyes, the shape of my eyes, and my hair. A lot of people like my hair because it would turn reddish brown. Especially in the summer, my hair would become reddish brown. And it was very soft and fine to the point whenever I would go to the hair salon, everyone who would touch my hair, like the beauticians would just play in my hair like, oh, your hair is so soft. And they would tell other people, look how soft her hair is. And they would touch my hair. And I remember that my hair would not get kinky or coarse. Whenever it got wet, it would turn into like a wavy texture. And other kids would just look at it and they'd be in awe and look at her hair. And so these are things that I actually didn't like about myself that other people were admiring. And I did not like my hair, how soft and fine it was, because I could not wear hairstyles that other girls were wearing. And whenever my mom would send me to the beautician, I would get curls in my hair. They would fix my hair up and my hair would just fall and drop. Within a couple hours, the hairstyles wouldn't last. My hair would frizz up. And I was so upset that I couldn't wear the hairstyles that other girls were wearing. I would beg my mom to let me get a relaxer. And as the years went by, I started wearing weaves so that I can, wear some of the hairstyles that other girls were wearing because my natural hair would not hold those hairstyles. And so, over the years, my children, my daughter, she was born with the same Indian features. She had the nose, she had the long hair, she had, nice hair. Her hair was naturally long. And when she would go to school, I would wear her hair in certain ways. I had to stop dressing her with her hair down. I had to stop fixing her hair because the kids would make fun of her and mistreat her because a lot of the girls who did not have long hair, they were jealous of her. And they would talk about her and bully her because of her hair. And so, over the years, after I had written a book, all of a sudden my hair started changing. My skin started changing. My skin started getting darker. My hair color as you can see in this photo, was like a natural reddish brown color. And I noticed that reddish brown color was gone. It became almost like a jet black color. And the texture of my hair changed. It was kind of hard. It was hard. It was hard to comb. It was to the point where it hurt. I couldn't comb through. It was becoming kinky, very coarse and drawn up. And that was never my hair. And so as you can see in this photo, here's one of the photos where I first noticed how my hair had gotten so different. The texture had changed completely to the point it was so hard to comb through. And it was dark. It was really dark. The color had been changed. And so the Lord was letting me know that people in my family were taking from me. People were reading my book. I had made this fitness book, and I had gave a copy to one of my father's cousins by the name of Patricia Ann Bennett, which was Pat Jones, before she had gotten married. And he told me that she put curses out in that book to destroy and take my beauty because she hated herself. And here in this photo, my aunt, Nicole White, was another one who originally started taking from me. She would come over my house and go in my room and take jewelry and stuff. And the Lord was showing me how she was using this jewelry to steal from me. And the Lord was showing me, a lot of people have been stealing from me for years because they were coveting my features, the talents that I had, the knowledge and gifts, and they did not embrace who they were. They did not like themselves. And another woman who had beautiful dark skin, beautiful natural dark skin, lovely skin, had been stealing from me. She got to the point where she was using sorcery. The Lord was letting me know she was reading my books, had my pictures, go back and get my videos, and all these things to form soul ties to me because she didn't like the shape of her nose and her texturized hair and all this stuff that she had about herself. She had began taking and putting it on me, changing my hair, changing everything. Even my lips started changing. I started developing these big dark circles under my eyes like this woman. My eye shape changed. My eyes became more melanated and gotten more darker than they actually were. And my skin complexion changed completely. I didn't have the nice golden brown skin anymore. My skin had changed to the point where it was like several shades darker. And the Lord was letting me know that this woman had been taking my skin color. She had been changing everything about myself, taking my bone structure, because we were naturally small people. I didn't have, a black girl's butt, because they say black girls love, their butt. And here in this photo, this woman says she loves being black, but she actually doesn't. But I noticed how this woman was changing everything to reflect me. She was changing her bone structure, taking from me to take my bone structure, my light and my complexion, my hair texture and everything. I was changing. My features had been changed because he was showing me how Black people were ashamed of who they were. And it talks about, even though Black people say they love themselves, they love being Black, a lot of them have hated the color of their skin. Because if you think about it, even in school, a lot of times when we were growing up, you would hear, Black children talking about other children. If their hair didn't grow a certain length, they call them bald headed, or say they had nappy hair, or if they were darker complected, they had a darker skin tone, they would say they were ugly because they were so dark, and they would make fun of them. And so, the Lord was showing me this and how this trauma was still lasting because these people did not go to him to get help and healing. And see, as the Lord had restored me, another woman he had started taking from me. As you can see here, this woman in this photo, she had a rounder shaped jawline. Her lips were a certain way. She had like very soft nose, almost like her bridge in her nose was non-existent. And she had acne in the middle of her forehead, very texturized skin. And the Lord was letting me know this woman had been forming soul ties with me as well. And I started noticing, that my bone structure, again, was changing. My lips were changing, the shapes of my lips. And when you have your lips don't change shapes like that. Your jawline usually doesn't change. This is within a matter of just weeks and months. And I started developing a rounder jawline. The bridge of my nose was very soft. I didn't have, my bone structure was being taken. And my skin was darkening. And I noticed I had acne that I couldn't get rid of. And see, if you go back to my original features, this is how my lips and my bone structure would look before people were tampering with it. And I had the reddish brown skin, and my skin is ruined now because it's like Black people have not gotten healing. And yes, this might have, stemmed from racism, because we were discriminated against so much. The Black race was discriminated against, and to the point where it was ingrained in them, and they were conditioned to think that they're inferior, that their Black skin is inferior, that their Black features, their prominent jawline, their wider shaped faces and their wider shaped noses were something to be ashamed of, and their texturized hair and their coarse hair is something that they start to hate instead of embracing it. And so what God was showing me, that this is what the enemy has been using, not only the Caucasian race, to discriminate against us and to put the European features as the prototype for beauty and the standard of beauty, especially here in the country of America, but all over the world, where people are starting to hate themselves. They're starting to not embrace themselves. Even in Africa, I was hearing about how they would bleach their skin, and people wouldn't like them until they bleached their skin, and they would become lighter, and then all of a sudden they become more attractive. And even here in America, the Black males usually would be more prone to be attracted to women who are, fairer skin, or women who have very little Black features that make them look less ethnic or look like other ethnicities and resembles other ethnicities, such as, Caucasian women or, Hispanic women. And this is something that comes from hatred, self-hate. And why do Black people hate themselves? So that's what we're going to talk about. Why have Black people hated themselves? Is because what is depicted in our culture. When you look at the pictures of Jesus Christ, you see a white man. You see a European Jesus Christ with long European hair, with fair skin, fair European features. Everything in this culture has made those who are white seem as if they're superior. It's something better, even though there's tons of beautiful people with dark skin, with different shaped noses, full lips, or coarse kinky hair. People do not see that as beautiful, and they've been taught to hate themselves. They've been conditioned to hate themselves because this is something the devil has wanted to cause us to hate who we are, because we represent Jesus Christ. We represent the true image of Jesus Christ. And this is something that has gotten to the point where people hate how they look so much that they will go and steal from another human being. That you will use sorcery and witchcraft to steal the features and the looks and the DNA of someone else, because you're rejecting what God has put inside of you. And so this is something that you're going to be punished by God for if you do not repent and stop. Because see, God tells us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. We're supposed to love him first, then we're supposed to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. If you don't love yourself and you hate yourself, how can you love your neighbor? When you hate yourself, that means you're rejecting everything God has created you to be. That means you've said to yourself that you reject what God has defined you as. And he already said in his word that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are his works. When you are stealing and coveting something from another human being to the point where you're taking everything from them and you have rejected who God has created you to be, your authentic person, your authentic self, this is a form of hatred, and this is something that God is very, he criticizes this. This is a sin that you will not enter into his kingdom for if you do not repent of it. Yes, there are things that we have dealt with and been traumatized for because of the stigma that's been placed on the black race, because the enemy knows who we are, the true thing about us. And he has wanted us to reject us, ourselves. He has also worked with the Caucasian race. He's worked with all peoples, not just black people who hate themselves. He's even made Caucasian people hate who they are. Why do you think they would go out of their way to steal everything from a black race of people and make them hate themselves? Yet they embrace the very thing about the black race that they told the black race to hate, but they embrace it and they love it and they take it for themselves because this is all envy and jealousy. And the enemy is working in all different groups of people, causing black people to hate themselves, causing white people to attack black people further, make them hate themselves, causing black people to be pitted up against each other and divisive and hate different groups of black people based on how they look. And then and he also showed me how those who have taken from the Native Americans, they've been stealing from me for years because of my Native American heritage also, and because of my Egyptian blood. But it goes back to how they took everything from the Native Americans here in the country of America. They've taken their land and stolen everything from them. They've stripped them out of their houses and had conditioned them, taken their children and families from them, and took and beat the Indian basically out of them. They wanted them to be standard white. They wanted them to adapt the European culture, the European heritage, everything that is of European. And so that is the thing. They're making us reject the thing that God created us to be and to accept something else and embrace something that we're not. And see, when you're not submitting to God, you're falling for this. And see, I put all of these pictures up just to show, because people need to see exactly the level of extremity that is gone to, where people have actually hated who they are. You have women bleaching their skin. You have women wearing, there's nothing wrong with weave, but the Lord was letting me know when women take that weave and put it on their hair, it causes a spirit to enter into them. Because now you're putting on someone else's DNA. You're becoming another human being because you did not embrace the hair that he put on your head. And so he was telling me to stop wearing weave. I stopped wearing weave for a while now. Every now and again I'll get my hair braided, but I have been stopped wearing weave because of this. And the Lord was let me know how women who they will become a completely different person. The spirit, the seductive spirit will come inside of them, this Jezebel spirit, because now that they have put on the spirit. They're rejecting who they are, and it's like they're putting on a costume. How do you know when you don a costume, you're going into character? And that's basically what it is. So when we're hating ourselves and taking from other people, emulating them, it shows that we're rejecting who we are. We're hating ourselves. We're hating who we are. And we cannot accept who God created us to be. And this is something that God is going to, judge you for and punish you for if you don't repent, if you don't stop, because now he's going to ask you on Judgment Day, why did you hate yourself? Why did you steal from your brethren? Why did you take from your brother and covet what belonged to your neighbor? He's going to ask you that, and many of you are going to have to give an answer to God on Judgment Day if you don't repent and learn to love yourself. When you submit to God and accept him, he will teach you how to embrace who you are and to work with the things he's given you and love yourself for who you are no matter what.